Thank you for joining us today for our webinar titled A Sneak Peek into AI-Powered Investing for Fundamental Managers. I'd like to begin by introducing our speaker. Alexander Kolb is the Managing Director of Product Strategy at Boosted.ai, responsible for our platform success. Working at the intersection of finance and technology, Alex is passionate about bringing cutting-edge, accessible products that augment the investment management process to a broad user base. Prior to joining Boosted.ai, Alex was in charge of Uber EMEA's $1 billion plus delivery business line and helped launch a personal money management startup in the UK. Before moving to tech, Alex was a cross-asset buy-side trader at Scotiabank. He holds an MBA from the London Business School, is a CFA charter holder, and graduated with a finance degree from Concordia University. With that, please take it away, Alex.
Oh, thanks, SK, for that introduction. That sounds almost intimidating to me. So we have quite a lot to go through. So I'm going to share my screen and take you through this some slides, and then we'll jump into a presentation where I'll show the platform. So let me just share my screen here, and we'll get going. All right, so we wanted to talk about the AI-powered investing for fundamental managers, and what does that mean? So I want to start off with talking about how do we Boosted view AI. So we believe that humans and AI, a combination of humans and AI, are the future of investment management. So what we do is we combine your team's capital markets expertise with our proprietary machine learning technology and use that to improve your investment management process and deliver new opportunities that lead to outperformance. So to summarize all that, we combine AI and humans. We don't see AI as a replacement to your human investment manager, but rather as something that augments the investment management process and decision making. So quickly about us is we did our Series B financing earlier this year. We've been funded by a few leading venture capital firms such as Spark Capital, 10 Coast Capital, Portage Ventures, RBC, and others. We've grown from a smaller team to a team of 60 plus experts in different areas, ML experts, data scientists, engineers, finance professionals. Everybody has decades of experience on both buy side and sell side, and our customers love working with us. And I think a lot of them are, or the additional customers are still with us, with over 90% of the engagements continuing to renew their contract. So we have a strong product, and the results that we delivered have been very successful. Our experience, so we have kind of exactly the type of people you would want working on this kind of product. We have everybody on our team range with the expertise ranging from top tier financial institutions, such as like Citadel, Morgan Stanley, Tiger, etc., to all the way to some top tier tech companies. Facebook, Uber is yours truly here, and so on. So we have a broad range of expertise across both tech and finance. Talk about our customer base a little bit. It's very global, as you can see, and also varies in size. So we have about 50 plus institutional clients right now, and they're using us in their investment management process. The AUM ranges, from under 1 billion to over 100 billion. And as I said, it's a very global customer base. But complementary to that, we also have global customer success force as well that works with our clients in their geographic regions to get them to value fast and to use our platform in the best way that suits their needs. Well, what's different about us? So to build an AI-driven model, you kind of need three things. You need to start off with data, then you need an algorithm, you need some sort of optimization engine, and then you need some kind of a support infrastructure to support all that. So we mastered all three, and we believe we're truly different in those respects. So our platform is no code, doesn't need really much web development knowledge. So it really fits that fundamental use case. We have a lot of data integrations with the regular providers that you would think about, such as like FactSet and PIQ. Any kind of we also have integration with S3 for the short interest data. So any kind of data that is out there we can work with. We have all these integrations built in. Any custom data we can also support. Our algorithm is specifically built for finance, and it's built to handle financial data in a way that it really doesn't work if you just go and pick an off-the-shelf algorithm. So ours is really tailored towards that. And then lastly, we do have an optimization engine that lets you really express your views as an investment manager or analyst to suit the best of your ability and your knowledge, whatever you want to accomplish with the system. And all we focus on that in that respect. We just want to get you value quicker, give you ability to give your views and deliver better results. So how does it work? So our team works with you in initial stages to develop a custom machine learning model, and that will deliver you unique recommendations that uses our proprietary algos. As I mentioned again, we have a lot of data integration here, and you can use all kinds of you can set up all kinds of variables to express your views any way you would want. And I'm not going to dwell on this too much because I already covered that a lot in the previous slide. But to summarize, we have a lot of data available already. Any custom data you want to upload and transform and use in any way you want in your model, everything's possible. And we can work with you through our customer success team to make that happen. This question comes up pretty often. How do you actually integrate all this in your investment management process? Investment management process is unique to everyone, and everybody has their secret sauce. So what I wanted to kind of broadly cover here is that you start out by selecting stock universe you care about, select the input factors you care about, and then the machine learns to invest, picks the stocks, and then you as a consumer, as a PM or as an analyst, can analyze the picks and review them and see if you agree or disagree and how you want to action them. So this slide I want to focus on a little bit because it's going to be important for the actual demo that I'm going to be doing. So the way our algorithm works, we call it the battle royale. So what it does is, let's take a universe like S&P 500, 500 stocks in there. What the algo does, it pins all these 500 stocks against each other to come up with a rank order of the securities. So splitting them into quantiles, ranking them from best to worst. So in S&P 500, you would have 500 stocks. You would have stocks ranking anywhere from 1 to 500. But also to make that comparison easier, what we do is we assign a star rating to them. So we have a star rating that ranges from 0 to 5, 5 being the best. And that is a standard way we look at securities. So each security in your model will have this rating, and it makes it directly comparable to securities in other models and other securities within that stock universe. So that's what I want you to remember from this slide, is that we have the star rating, the star system that assigns stocks a rating from 0 to 5, and it's a standardized way of measuring our machine's views. And how do customers use us? Well, there's a number of use cases. Equity research, so fundamental analysis through AI, idea generation, so looking at what is the AI coming up with, is there anything that you're missing, any patterns, any trends? The portfolio optimization, which I mentioned earlier, is how do you actually take these ideas and convert them into something that's usable? So we can do that through the optimization engine that we have built in. We also have the very broad suite of features that revolve around risk management. So all kinds of factor optimizations, factor controlling, turnover controls, anything you can think of or use, we have built in or can build. Not only we control these factors in your model building, you can also view what they are through all the tools that we have available through the platform. So really, we view ourselves, our algo, and our approach as a glass box, so you can really see what's going on inside the AI and how it's making decisions. Last feature, something we came up with during this year, is smart hedging. So it's been a very popular use case throughout this year, as you can imagine. So building hedges that are not just relying on correlation and Bloomberg is something that we can provide. And there's a way through our platform to build custom hedge baskets, test multiple approaches to hedging all at once, and come up with the best alternatives to hedge your portfolio. So we did a different webinar on that. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can reach out later. We're happy to share that. But it's a really cool feature that I think really was prominent this year and probably will remain so in the future. So what I wanted to focus on today, this is the last slide, I promise. So there's a lot of use cases that I just went through, but one thing about AI is it can do a lot. but how do we actually get you to value fast? How do we help you generate ideas? So how do we leverage AI to spark new ideas and find market moving trends? How do we then deep dive into those ideas and understand, like, well, through AI lens, what is actually happening and what is the AI telling you to do? And then continue to monitor those ideas so that you can really keep track of what's going on in terms of these things you're interested in investing, things that have been surfaced by the AI engine, or the things that, are on your analyst recommendations watch list or something like that. So really being able to do these three things quickly and easily is something we've been focusing on, is what I wanted to show you today. So this concludes the slide portion of the demo, and I'll jump into the platform because, as they say, picture's worth 1,000 words. So let me go into the demo here. I hope you can also see my screen. SK, can
Yes.
you confirm? Yeah, okay. So normally when you log into this is our platform. Normally when you log into it, if you're kind of like those three use cases I was just mentioning, I'll show them separately, but I just want to give you a quick glance of, like, normally when you log into our platform or any other AI platforms, you just see a bunch of models or strategies and portfolios. You can go into them and see what is going on in each one. So there you have some sort of model with a bunch of like statistical analysis outputs, the betas, like the Spearman-Rowe, whatever, like the quantile spread, which is pretty decent for this model. In our system, you can also view things like feature word clouds. So what are the features that the machine thinks are important, presented this cool view. So analyst calculations, momentum. You can also dig into all these really heavy quantitative feature importance screens that shows you what is the machine thinks is important. What is the machine thinks is important in the stock universe that you're looking at. So things like, in this case, analysis expectations, the quantitative outputs around that. And there's a ton of other screens that we have that allow you to really dig into all these things, like plot them, chart them, whatever you want. So all this is cool, but the question we asked ourselves was like, well, what if you just want to get output really quickly? You just want to log into the platform and just see, like, well, what does all this mean to me? So that's what those three use cases I was showing you earlier, that is what we focused on, and this is what I want to show you. So imagine, as an investment manager, you probably have a watch list of securities you care about. So it's a feature that we built, and I'll start the entry point through there. So imagine you log into our platform, and instead of that complex quantitative view, you're presented with something that's just lists you the stocks you actually care about that are on your watch list, that are on top of your mind, and you can quickly see things like, what is in my analyst recommendations? So I populate this with some random securities, and also just for everybody's understanding, I'm using a bunch of demo models that are not in any way customized to any specific use case. It's just generically decent models. But if you were working with us, you obviously can build any model or strategy to fit your specific needs, be that value, growth, momentum, or any custom data, anything you want. But for now, we're just using a sample S&P 500 and R1K demo models and their outputs. So yeah, so you start off with a watch list, and you have things that analyst recommendation watch list. So you can really view this rating that the machine assigns to the stock across different lenses. So if you remember, to go back to the presentation, if you remember, I was talking about how we assign the ratings to the stocks from ranging from 0 to 5. This is what the rating here is. That's what I'm showing here. So the rating of the securities, and this is like our primary driver of the machine's picks, is that number. So we're able to show it to you here across different models. We can show you the ranking, we can show you the composite rating, and you can add more models here. We'll also show you what the live market conditions are for the security. So as you can see, like NVIDIA hasn't been doing that well, but we still think it's a highly rated stock. So this coverage watch list feature here gives you this one kind of quick way to access all your securities that you care about at a glance and compare the outputs across multiple models in one easy to access place. So you can, these lists could be uploaded, they can be created manually, there's categorization, and you can slice them and dice them in any way you want, kind of like you would use the Bloomberg monitor, except we provide you output that Bloomberg does not, because we're focusing on the AI lens for all these securities. So, going back to this, so this screen's here. So this is more like if you think of the use case, This is the kind of a monitoring one where you actually can check what's going on with anything that you care about. So another thing we thought about, okay, well, there's a lot of things the AI gives me, like I just showed you earlier on those screens, like there's a lot of ranks, there's a lot of like features, but what does that all mean? So let's say you're looking at S&P 500 universe, you actually want to just figure out like, well, what are some of the ideas that AI is telling me to look at? What are some of the stocks that I should be looking at that maybe I'm not looking at because maybe they're not part of your watch list? Or maybe you just want to kind of see what else is out there. Maybe you want to use different models, so different ways of looking at the universe. So again, here I'm using S&P 500 model. I'm looking at the recommendations from this model here. And what we've done is we've broken it down into different categories. So like the risk or reward categories. So imagine we have the model for S&P 500, which has 500 securities. We kind of like, again, in that ranking way, we figure out which ones have the lowest return, which one have the highest. So that taking the min and max and figure out the buckets of the returns that securities could fall into, the ideas could fall into, doing the same for the risk, just, standard deviation of those returns. And we give you this output here about what are some of the stocks that machine thinks are interesting from the perspective of what are the features the machine is looking at and how does it view them in historic and predictive perspective. So in this case, for example, we have a number of securities that have been surfaced as average risk, high reward, Jack Henry, Hershey. There's some reasoning and what are the top drivers that are driving these reasons. So for example, Jack Henry has really high return on assets, but it has a really low asset to price ratio and its EMA is very low. This means it's been beaten down quite a bit. And the top reason that this has been recommended is that, the stock has a top rating. The accuracy has been kind of low, but the combination of this leads to you to have an average risk and high reward because it's a promising trend reversal buy. So it gives these kind of explanations for all securities here and across different buckets of the high risk, high reward, and so on. Also, if you don't want to just focus on the stock specifically, but you just want to see about just want to focus on what's going on in the entire market, we give you a broader view of what's happening in this model. And I'm going to switch it to 1 month's view for S&P 500. So when we're looking at S&P 500, there's a number of stocks that have had big rating moves. And again, this going back to that 0 to 5 star rating. Some of these stocks have jumped 4 points in the last machine rebalance. So something's been going on there that made this rating really move. And we surfaced the top 10 top movers and positive movers and negative movers. We do the same for ranking for the sectors. So we tell you which sectors have jumped in ranking. So consumer staples apparently is a number 1 ranked sector, and it's moved up 4 places. So something's must be going on there that made that happen. What is it that something is going on? Well, we're looking at what are the drivers that are driving these moves. So on the entire model basis, it's been the capital efficiency, return on assets, beta, analyst expectations. These are the ones, the drivers that provide all these that the machine uses to generate these outputs. And these are the outputs that the machine thinks are the most important. So we have the top 5 here, the bottom 5 here. So those bottom being the bearish drivers. There's other drivers you could look into and you can go into and explore them in detail. And on this one view, we'll tell you what is it the machine likes about the stocks that's telling you to buy. So it likes momentum. It likes, high return on assets. It likes, high PE, and so on. And then we can see like, what is it like about the cells, or I guess not like, it's kind of the opposite of that. So we're showing you what the biggest difference is. So it doesn't like, momentum, it doesn't like doesn't like low return on assets, and so on. So we're really making a distinction of like trying to show you what is it the machine likes about these securities, what is driving the overall model, what are the factors that are driving it, and what are the biggest changes that have been happening in this model that you should be paying attention to, and what are some cool ideas that have been surfaced by the AI that you should pay attention to. And then last thing is the deep dive. So let's say use an example here, and I think this is like one of the coolest things is, let's say you're looking at this positive mover and you're like, okay, and you're thinking, okay, well, this is interesting, has jumped up a number of points. What is that? Why did it happen? And what do I do about it? So you go on this the security here, and we provide a full equity drill down, and I'll explain how this page works. So this was so AIZ, it was a high risk, high reward recommendation, as we can see here. It had predicted returns of about 2% on an annualized basis. It's a high ranked stock. And we showcased to you some market data, basic market data about security, the share price, its analyst price consensus, market cap, volume. We're also adding some more information to there. And we're showing to you in plain text, what is it the AI thinks is important for this stock and what is driving these reward and risk recommendations. So in this case, let's read these things a bit with me and see what's telling us. So for example, if the AI seems to be here to pinpoint that this is a stock that has a top rating, its growth factor score is low, so it's not a growth stock. And this combination of not being a growth stock has a typically high returns to high risk. So it's a promising buy. What is it telling us here? Well, it's actually telling us the opposite. It is a value stock, so the value factor is high, and it's also promising buy because of that. So it likes stocks that are not growth. It likes value stocks, and also it looks at market conditions. And by the way, there could be other boxes that come up here. It's just these are the top 3 that the machine thinks are most important at this time. So the AI has given this stock a top rating. Its 3-month market conditions for the stocks like this are kind of weakly negative. So the stock performs close to average. Okay, that's not super exciting, but at least it gives you some indication of the machine thinks it's like it likes the value stocks. The market conditions are a bit negative, but the return should be pretty decent. So let's see what's happening with the security and our recommendations over time. So the light blue line here is the stock price. The dots here is our ratings. So again, going back to 0 to 5, if something is 4-star plus, it's outperform, and from 2 to 4 is neutral, and under 2 is underperform. So we're showing to you when has machine issued some big warnings on these ratings. And we're standardizing the price comparison with the benchmark on a percentage scale. So it's not like a price comparison, but we actually try to make it so it's clear if the stock's been doing well or not. So we came into this year with with the stock being a machine saying that it's an underperform. It's underperformed the benchmark a bit, and the stock started doing a bit better. The machine said, okay, it's time to buy, and gave it an outperform call. Then, it sort of went up a bit, went sideways. Then we hit that summer where things have got a bit out of hand. So the machine said, okay, it went neutral on it. It went sell on it. And it continues with the sale recommendation. And now, because of the market conditions and these top ratings for the value growth, the machine thinks to buy again. So it's catching this hopefully bottom and telling you to buy the security right now. So that's a pretty interesting chart. You see this available for every security, and it gives you a bit of an auditable path to understand what has happened with the AI recommendations. So, it also gives you comparables. As I mentioned, we try to give you data that nobody else has. So this is comparables to the security that are based on entirely machine learning factors and price movements. So you can see what are some other stocks that are similar to this one. And if you want to understand what has been driving these recommendations here, these dots, we're showing to you the drivers. So these are the drivers that are driving it: working capital to sales, EMA, analyst expectations. And we're also surfacing to you, well, what have been the biggest driver movers, which led to this new rating being issued. So what happened here was that working capital to sales turned really bullish. Exponential moving average went really bullish because exponential moving average really, it was somewhere, if you look at the chart, like EMA was kind of in the middling around here, but the EMA has, turned bullish, and the EMA itself went really low. So the stock got really killed. So machine likes that because it thinks there's a potential for trend reversal looking at historical patterns. Analyst expectations are at the top of the range for this security here. And all the other factors you can sort by, biggest movers or biggest changes in its absolute values. Also, we were comparing it to the industry and the sector. So this stock is almost a top financial pick. And the machine doesn't really like financials this much because the rating is only 1.8 for the entire financials. But for AIZ, it really likes it. So same for insurance. For the industry, it's multi-line insurance. Machine is not crazy about multi-line insurance overall, but really likes the stock. For all these factors here, for the trends that are happening, it thinks it's a buy. So you can kind of like cycle through these stocks. You can go through each one, and I've picked a few later, but I wanted to show you, but we're out of time. You know, when you go through the product, you can see other recommendations that that are being issued, and you can kind of like work this circular path to go through all the securities on your watch list, on your recommended list, and really have actionable insights very quickly. So thanks everybody for listening to this. I'll turn it back to SK for questions.
Thank you for a very quick and insightful sneak peek, Alex. Let's get to the questions that we can in the next 5 minutes. How do you make AI interpretable at Boosted AI?
So like I showed you a quick sneak peek of the platform itself. So, you know, we have all kinds of outputs, like the highlights of what the machine thinks is important. So we also have natural language processing capabilities that tell you exactly what is in some of the risk buckets. We have the factor models, but we have all the bearer factors. Well, they're not exactly bearer factors, but they would be, you know, your standard ones. And we can plot exactly how each factor is viewed by the machine. So make it very transparent. We'll make it a glass box, and you know, the entire platform is built around that transparency paradigm.
Thank you. There's another question that says, "Hi, Alex. You mentioned that your algorithms are custom built for financial data. Can you talk a little more about that? If you want to give a quick one-liner."
Sorry, the custom built
for financial data. You know how we say that algorithms are finance specific.
Yeah, so the algorithms are made around, you know, so like it's kind of tailored to in a way that like we know, like in finance, in order for you to, you know, to do really well, you just need to be right, you know, more than 50% of the time. But there's also a lot of noise in the financial data. There's like, you know, a lot of like earning releases, you know, there's like stock splits, there's things that are happening all the time. So we really are careful to make sure that our models are tailoring towards, you know, having good hit rates, but we're not necessarily, you know, aiming to over optimize and go for something that's like, okay, this model has a 70% hit rate. We just actually want it to be true to the results. And, you know, we just know that like being, you know, right, like more than 50% of the time already gives you a good outcome. So we try to just minimize the noise that comes from the data in finance, and not optimize, but try to have the machine actually learn the lessons of the past and apply that to the future. I'm happy to talk about it more, but I think like we're not going to have time for all of that. Please reach out, and also we'd be able to get somebody from like ML team to give you a better overview.
Thank you. Can you touch upon the status of regulations requiring explanatory artificial intelligence as it relates to finance?
Yeah, so I mean, specifically, there hasn't been that much that I've heard of on like the finance itself. I think any time we've worked with some clients, there have been specific requirements we have to fulfill, such as proving that the model works, the performance track record is accurate, that the data we're working with is clean. So I think there's a lot of like internal regulation from financial institutions that is on a case-by-case basis. Overall, I think there has been some frameworks around, you know, like data tracking, data collection. But you know, we're kind of keeping on top of it, and I think like so far the institutions themselves are putting the higher requirements on us than the government does.
Is there an API available?
Yeah, there's a full API with full documentation, so that's all available for you.
Awesome. Cost and preview of the platform, but in the preview, if you want to touch upon the cost or the tiers that exist.
Yeah, so cost. Like I showed you the platform, there's a lot in there, and we have different tiers of, you know, if you want to be able to have full access to model building, if you just want to be a consumer of the data, you know, depending on how many accounts you want to have. So it's a better question for our BDE, but like we can work with you and figure out something that works given your use case.
Great. I want to squeeze in just 2 more questions. Is the tool affordable for retail investors?
For retail?
Yes.
I think for the type of information you're trying to get, I think it's definitely, you know, it's possible. Again, like it depends on your use case. Depends how much you want to spend. I think it's useful for retail, especially the things I showed you right now. You can have your watch list and you know, keep track of the stocks that you have, and you know, there's maybe a way to make that happen for depending on the side of the portfolio you're looking after.
Thank you. Next one is an anonymous question. How are you calculating feature importance, and how do you know these importance scores are significant beyond local linear behavior? I'm going to request this person to please reach out, since it's anonymous and we don't know the details, and we'd be more than happy to show you the answers to your question. Beyond that, any final thoughts, Alex, before we say goodbye?
No, so I think this was a bit of a quick intro. So happy to do these demos to anybody individually and dive deeper into either the things I showed or the other use cases that haven't come up. We're, as I said, we have a large team that is able to tailor the demos to whatever your use case might be and figure out the best solution for you. So hoping to hear from anybody with any suggestions, comments, demo requests. Would be happy to take them. And thanks for joining today, and thanks SK for hosting.